Hey everybody, this is John Q with ComicWow coming to you from San Diego Comic-Con 2014, and the guest that I have today is outstandingly awesome. I've been waiting for this for so long. Mr. J. August Richards, how are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. We talked a little bit earlier about one of the biggest reasons I'm excited. You're a hometown boy. We're from D.C. I was born and raised, and you're from Bladensburg, right?
Yes, I was born in D.C. at Children's Hospital and raised in Bladensburg, Maryland. We lived in Bladensburg my entire childhood, and lived there till I was 17 and moved to California.
Yeah, and I heard about that. You applied to one college.
Yes, I did.
You were just like, this is where I'm going. Here you go. I'm coming.
Yeah, I was very confident about my grades and my SAT scores and stuff, and I did my research and I figured out if I was going to be an actor, my only choices were Los Angeles or New York, and I wanted to be building my career while I was in college.
Sure.
So I visited New York several times as a kid. I didn't like it. It was too overwhelming for me. So I went to LA, went to USC. I decided that that's where I was going to go, especially because I found out this director who was really making waves at the time, John Singleton, I graduated from that school. So I figured, well, that would be the perfect place for me to go. So that's where I went.
Wow. That's just, I mean, it's amazing. You know, most people, and I know me I was like 5, 6, 7.
Right.
Let me just keep writing colleges.
Right.
So that, and you know, Trojan you are.
Yes.
Most of the people out here are gonna, you know, they know you as Deathlok. I mean, you know, that's just when you first. I can say.
What's really cool for me at conventions like this is that families will come up to me and the parents will say, "The kids know you from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, but we know you from Angel." So it's really cool to, you know, have sort of a multi-generational thing happening. So that's been really rewarding.
Well, I mean, if you look at your
Rewarding.
the two shows you got, I mean, Angel is such a cult classic.
Yes.
You know, and you on there, you know, the Vampire Hunter at first.
Yes.
And then now with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, again, another cult classic that's, I mean, you know, amazing is the best thing I can say.
Thank you. It's been amazing to be a part of both, you know, both things, and both in the Joss Whedon, you know, universe, and working with him is it's just as good as it gets. So
I can't even imagine. I mean, he's everything he does. Just, thank you.
Definitely.
And so when he took this, I know me and a couple of people that I work with were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So to get to a couple questions, one of them that we have is, of course, people know you from Deathlok. You know, a lot of the younger people now, and us who knew you from Buffy, or I mean from Angel, are now seeing you in a different light. First, and I know they called you and said, you know, we want you to be in it, and you were Michael in it, and then you weren't for a while.
Right. Well, they didn't call me and say they wanted me to be Michael. They called me and asked me to audition.
Oh,
and
really?
So, yeah, absolutely,
okay.
yeah. Because the one thing I love about working with Joss is, like, he doesn't hand out gifts. He, you know, makes you work for it. He makes you earn it. And you have to be right for the part in terms of the story that they're telling. And there are a lot of elements that go into that. So, you know, when Angel was over, I was aware. I'd say to myself, you know, you could have just had the best job you're going to ever have in your life. So, you know, the opportunity to work with him again, I just jumped at it, you know, and usually it broke one of my rules because I generally don't like to audition for something where I'm just getting the material the same day, but because it was him and because I really wanted to do it, I just went for it.
So, then so you did the episodes that you did, and then you were gone for a while, and from what I hear, and tell me if this is right or wrong, and then explain to me, please, I hear you didn't even think you were coming back.
I didn't not think I was coming back. I just didn't know. I wasn't really told anything. And, you know, just being in the business for as long as I have been, I don't really count anything until I'm there doing it. In fact, I usually don't talk about anything that I'm shooting. I'll only talk about it once it's done.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in this business, you never know what's going to happen. So I did that first episode. It was hinted to me that I would be back, nothing official. And so a long time passed. I mean, I probably found out that we shot the pilot in January, and I found out that I was coming back in September. So all that time, I didn't know what was going to happen with the character. So I remember I got the phone call. It was Friday the 13th of September, and they said, you're coming back, and when you come back, you're going to be a superhero. So you might want to, get in the gym. So I had about 6 weeks or so.
If I can real quick,
yes.
When they said you're going to be a superhero, is that all they told you? Did they tell you you're going to be a villain,
anything.
hero, anything?
No.
They just said, go work out. You're going to be a superhero, some sort of.
That word was used, but I knew that there was more to it because the character, and I know how they write. So
yeah.
I knew it wasn't going to be a clean-cut superhero type thing. I didn't find out that he had been training for S.H.I.E.L.D. for 6 weeks until I read the script. And that he was, working really hard to redeem himself because he felt really guilty about everything that went down in the pilot, which was interesting for me because that's where the character and I differ. The level of guilt that he felt for the things that went down in the pilot, I wouldn't have felt that. I wouldn't, I had to really try to connect to where this guy was going,
Well, I mean, him as a father, and what he was going after, and he was just doing the best he could.
Yeah,
and
maybe that's why I didn't immediately connect to this idea that he was really guilty about the things that happened, because I, as Jay, look at Mike Peterson as someone who is just trying to do right by his family. So I have no judgment on the character. So when I read the script, I was like, Mike, why are you feeling so guilty?
Yeah.
But I had to really try to get into his world and realize that he had just really embarrassed himself in front of his child. And when I thought about that, when I thought about that, and I really, everything that I do as an actor, whether it's science fiction or not, I try to break it down into a world and a reality that I know and understand. And let's say that I had gotten drunk in front of my child and did something really embarrassing, and then I understood the tremendous guilt
weighs on your heart.
Yeah.
And you feel like a failure.
Yeah, that's what he felt like, a failure.
You're a hero to somebody because they look at you, a child looks at you just as you're a hero to me.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, just like Mike did, and it crushes you.
Yeah, he felt like a failure. That was really difficult. It was a really difficult place for anybody to be in. So
we couldn't tell you had a hard time with it. I can tell you that we could easily see that with you and the way you played it. Now, when you came back, you said, okay, what am I going to do? And they were like, you're going to be Deathlok.
Right. That didn't come for a while. I didn't know that for a long time after I came back. That information was held from me, to the point where I even went and started getting fit for the Deathlok pieces, and I didn't know what I was being fit for.
Really?
So that's how secretive, they keep things at Marvel.
When you found that out, though, you were like, Deathlok?
Yes, absolutely. Cool. Well, I went. I went to the fitting. I was driving home. Marissa Tancherone, the executive producer, called me and said, I'm sure you're wondering what's going on, returning into Deathlok. And I pulled the car over and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be a Marvel superhero. Oh my God. Who's Deathlok? so then I started researching the character and, really found out who he was and realized why they decided to turn the character into that character. Because thematically, there's so many similarities, in terms of what Mike was going through and what, the three incarnations of Deathlok have gone through. There's a thematic similarity between us all. And so I see why they chose to weave that into this character.
Now with Deathlok, how did you prepare? Once you found out, I'm sure they said, okay, we're going to send over the script.
Yeah.
How did you basically prepare for it? And, you did speak about the three different versions of them. Thank you. But
I always have trouble finding that word too.
Levels.
I always say iterations or versions, so I wasn't going to let you search for something I found a long time ago.
Help me. Yeah. So, how did you research it? What did you do prepare-wise?
The first thing I did is I went back to the source material. Marvel was kind enough to make the comics available to me online. So I started reading a lot of the comic, and then at a certain point I stopped because I realized, okay, the circumstances that Mike Peterson is dealing with are very different than the circumstances that Michael Collins was dealing with, or any of the other Deathloks. So I started there, and visually, I decided there were certain things I wanted to incorporate into my performance to pay homage to the original source material. I tried my best to have my frown, I tried to wear my frown a lot because in the drawings, the character's always frowning. So I really wanted to use that and work that in, but then I had to go back to the script and deal with the specific circumstances of Michael Peterson, his son, his, the job that he lost, and, the wife that left him, and think about what a living nightmare this was for him, because now he's, the original Deathlok is sort of trapped between this computer and himself, but my Deathlok is being controlled by the clairvoyant who's telling him what to do. So this is like a living nightmare for this character. He wants so desperately just to be a hero for himself, for his son. He doesn't want to save the world. He just wants to be a hero, someone that his son can look up to, the parent that his son deserves. But now he's being forced to do these things that are he is so morally opposed to. So I just thought about that pain that must feel like, and the word that I kept coming back to, that I never told anybody, but the word was shame. I just felt like it was a shame. It was shame, just oozing shame.
Well, you could tell his character, it definitely, even at the beginning of it, all he wanted to do was be left alone. Just leave me alone. I just want to be with my kid. Just leave me alone. And now they're taking him and using him as a pawn.
Right.
They're equipping him. They're making him a weapon.
And it's the exact opposite of everything he's ever wanted.
Exactly.
So,
the costume.
Yes.
How does it feel like when you put it on and they strap it on you? Or do you start getting tingles and
I got it in such gradual stages on the show that it was like a build-up. It was a build-up. But once the whole thing was debuted, I felt like the character was supposed to feel. I felt like, what really helped me the most is, so many departments are involved in creating the look of the character, visual effects, props, costume, makeup. I'm sure I'm forgetting a department, but there's so many departments that before I go on camera, there are so many people around me pushing, pulling, prodding me, adjusting me, doing the thing. Right, so that helped me feel like my body was no longer my own, my space was not my own. So that feeling helped me to play the character. I felt like a prop. I felt like something that was being manhandled.
Is it heavy?
Extremely. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
what's it made? What's it?
Everything you can imagine.
So like when you're because I noticed when Deathlok walks, he kind of walks really heavy on that one left leg.
Yeah.
So is that really you walking heavy because of it?
Well, a lot of the leg work was, no pun intended, but a lot of the leg work was done we found it putting the performance together. Like when the thing first gets attached, there was a lot of conversation about what that was going to be. Well, that conversation, I started it, myself in my work, thinking about what that would feel like, what that would look like. So, it just naturally evolved.
I have to ask you, is there a plan for Deathlok in season 2?
I can't answer that. I don't have any information.
I had to try.
I know. I
had to try.
Right. I have no information about that.
I had to try, and I wouldn't want to jeopardize your job even if you did.
Right.
It's just something that I had to ask.
Right, of course.
I'm going to go a different way here, and just about you personally.
Okay.
So you're having a good time here in San Diego?
I'm absolutely loving it. I'm having a fantastic time.
Yeah, I heard that you were on Michael Davis's Black panel.
Yes.
I heard you had a good time there.
Yeah, that was so much fun. That was really a good time. Yeah.
I heard you pretended to be Eminem and doing 8 Mile there.
Well, let's give Kanye West the credit for the mic drop.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, I did have to give a mic
sorry,
drop.
I heard about that. I was like, I gotta ask.
That was really, really funny. But it had to happen. It is funny because the poor girl that asked the question, she said, I loved you on Angel and I love you on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, but you haven't been on TV in between. And so, as an actor, it's like you go to so many auditions, you work so hard, you get rejected from so many things that, every time you work, you've worked so hard for it. So, unfortunately, she bear the brunt of you know, my frustration about that. And also, the other thing about being an actor is that you are required at all times to recite your resume to anyone who asks. It is a little frustrating, you know, I'll be honest, but like if, you know, if I'm sitting on a plane or something and someone asks me what I do, the last thing I will say is I'm an actor, because then the next question is, what have you done?
Exactly.
Now I gotta go through my resume and you gotta shake your head if you've seen it or you've not seen it. Yes. Obviously there are bigger problems in the world, but it is a little, you know, redundant. So she said that, and you know, I was like, well, you know, I hate reciting my resume, but I'm gonna do it for you. And I went through every job that I've worked between Angel and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, so then when I got to the end, I dropped the mic.
I'm done.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard that.
And the sad thing is, I missed several things. I missed several jobs in the middle, but I just wanted her to know, and everybody else to know, as an actor, you know, you do things, and maybe people see them, and maybe they don't. But that doesn't mean.
It's not like you're sitting at home doing nothing. It's not like you said,
right.
Hey, things change. All right, I'm going to wait around for a few years.
Right,
exactly. I'm
exactly.
just going to watch TV. It's, you know, how many pilots did you do that were either shown or didn't show? Or,
right.
You know, parts you were in that ended up getting cut. Or,
exactly.
You know, just because you didn't see it doesn't mean it was, you know, it might be on a channel you don't watch.
Right, exactly.
You know?
And that's, exactly. Yeah.
You know, moving on with a little bit, but I just had to. Thanks for rolling with me.
Right. My favorite is, you know, people, it's funny, you know, obviously, look, I'm very blessed. I love being an actor. I'm so blessed to be able to be an actor. Obviously, there are little jokes that we have, other actors. The worst is when someone comes up to you and goes, "Didn't you used to be an actor?" That's always the worst. You know, it's like, okay, maybe you haven't seen what I've done, but, yo.
Thanks.
Right.
No, I appreciate it.
Right.
Didn't you used to be nice?
Right.
You have a new project that you're doing. I actually saw. It's called The Lottery. It's on Lifetime. It just premiered on July 20th, last Sunday.
Yes.
It's on at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
10 o'clock Eastern time.
Yes.
Sorry, I forget the word in California.
I know, I still don't understand Mountain Central. I don't understand it.
Yeah,
so but it does come on Sundays.
The Lottery on Sundays on Lifetime at 10 o'clock. I watched it. Really an interesting concept. Females are fertile in the year 2016.
Yeah, infertile.
Infertile,
yeah.
That's what I mean, infertile in 2016.
Well, we don't know that it's the females that are infertile. We just know that no one's able to conceive.
No women have had babies.
Right,
and there are only 6-year-olds left?
Yes, exactly. Yes. They're the youngest people in the world.
Tell us a little bit about it in your role as Secretary of State.
So it was written by Tim Sexton, who wrote the movie Children of Men, which is the same premise. It's about, it imagines that in the future there comes a time when people are not able to reproduce. And so this show goes into a little more detail about what it would be like on a individual basis between a couple, all the way to what it would be like on the world stage if this were a reality. And so I play the Secretary of State, and my job is to advise the president and execute his foreign policy. I advise him on foreign policy and execute his foreign policy. But this president is not good with foreign policy. At least that's my choice as an actor, and it would be maybe other people's choice if they watch the show. But so I'm trying to advise him on how to handle this whole thing, and you know, whether he listens to me or not is another story, which causes another big problem, which people will see in Sunday night's episode on the 27th on Lifetime.
Yes, and that's I wanted to talk to you about. I saw what's coming up in the month.
But sidebar, for me, one thing that's cool is that this is my highest ranking position on screen, so I really am proud of it.
Yeah, because you've been a lawyer.
Yes, exactly. I've been an ADA. Yes, exactly.
ADA,
I've been a public defender, not a public defender, I'm sorry. Yes, an ADA twice, assistant district attorney. So this is kind of like a natural evolution.
And then you get a promotion to Secretary of State.
Yes, Deputy Secretary of State, which is a position that was only created in the 70s. You know, I did my research on this role too. So there's only been a handful because it was a new position that was invented in the 70s, I think, during the Carter administration, possibly Ford. There's only been one African American before, you know.
Really?
I almost said before me, like I'm really. Yeah, this really interesting guy named Clifton R. Wharton Jr. This very, very interesting character. I did a lot of research on him. Yeah, he's a really interesting person that we don't hear about, but we should be. He's a
What administration was he?
Clinton.
Clinton's?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. He
wow,
took
that recent?
Yeah. Yeah, he took the fall for something that went on. At least that's my interpretation. A head had to roll, and it ended up being his. I don't remember the exact event, but anyway, really interesting character.
I've heard in the previews. You and I spoke about this for a minute off camera, and I found out that we're going to have something fun here because you didn't even know about it. So
right.
I found out that your character gets taken hostage sometime in the later episodes.
Right.
And the best part about this is
a bit of a spoiler, but it was in the preview. So.
It was in the previews, but here's the best part is when I brought it up to him earlier, he didn't know about it. He said, "You saw that?" I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Huh. I just did an interview where they asked," and I said, "I can't tell you." So because I saw it, we're the first interview.
Yes, the first to talk about it. Yes. So as I said, well, since you know, I'll just say it. Like I said, I feel like the president doesn't really understand foreign policy, and so he sends me on a mission to China to appease the fury that's going on because we have 100 embryos and we're not sharing.
Exactly.
And I feel that we need to share because it's better. It'll be better for us in terms of what's going on in the world right now. He doesn't listen to me. He sends me to China, and I get kidnapped.
So they're gonna do it. So it's basically that, and this isn't giving anything away. Basically,
this is all giving stuff away. But it's if they put it in the preview, they put it in the preview.
So it's basically like that. It's instead of doing a United States lottery for the 100 embryos, we've gone to we should do a world lottery.
No, we do only a United States lottery, and I don't agree with the lottery at all. But I feel that we should share these embryos because the world is falling apart. I mean, can you imagine what would really go down if no one was able to conceive? There would be panic, there would be pandemonium, there would be riots, there would be religious.
Sure.
These are all things that I've done in my research.
Absolutely.
Again, but there'd be like religious, craziness, pandemonium, all over the world. So my character's saying you got to give like 5 to China. You should give a couple here, give a couple there, just to bring hope to the world and unite the planet again. But he's not listening.
Really? Yeah. All right. Well. Yeah. You're definitely going to have to, and we're not done yet. I have Twitter questions for you.
Nice.
Definitely make sure you watch the lottery on Lifetime on Sundays at 10 o'clock Eastern time. So let's get to a couple Twitter questions that we got from you. For you. Lisa Newfield at Ezriella.
Okay.
She would like to know, let's see, I thought S.H.I.E.L.D. would have asked for Mike's help to wrangle the Hydra escapees. Think it's still possible?
Anything is possible. Anything is possible.
Really? That's it? That's all? This entire interview?
It's a great question.
You're killing me on this. All right, let's go to Kathleen at _Miss Muffet. Can you please ask Jay what it was like filming a scene with Bill Paxton and Samuel L. Jackson?
Wow, that day was fun. It was a lot of fun, and it was the big climactic scene of the whole season, really.
Man.
And for me, I was really honored that I'm like, wow, I'm in this scene with these great actors, and I'm the one that gets to take out the bad guy. That's awesome.
Yeah, how was that?
I love that. It was fantastic. I had no lines in that scene. There are a lot of scenes that I was in that I had no lines in, and no one seemed to notice.
But you know what I know with me, and again, we're all geeks here, it's your face. That's what we notice, the facial expressions, because I know that when I'm watching you, even though you don't say anything, you can feel it, you can feel your face, you look at your brow, you look at your, and you can tell in the one good eye that Deathlok has, that it moves, and you see that.
Thank you.
You hear that well as an actor. I mean, I didn't need words.
I find that so flattering and so rewarding because it is more difficult to convey what needs to happen, without words. But it's just amazing. Like sometimes I'll hear, especially when a child does it, when they start running through my storyline and they say things that I never said, but I was thinking. That's always a hugely rewarding.
Well, I know with me, when I talk to people about it, you sit there and say, "Oh, you can tell he wanted to do."
Right.
How do you? What?
Right.
Did you not see? Rewind.
Right.
Look at his face.
Right.
Yeah. So that I can definitely tell.
Yeah. So it was a great scene. I mean, it was wonderful working with those guys. I mean, I was in the room with 3 heavyweights. You know, Clark, Bill, Sam.
Yeah, and that's you know, you're working with Greg Clark.
Clark Gregg?
Clark Gregg, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
You and him have quite a good friendship, don't you?
I mean, he's a wonderful. You know what it is about him? He is, you know, what we call number one on the call sheet, which means the, you know, lead character, lead actor, and you know, he just makes the environment so incredible to work in. You feel like you really have a voice, and you feel very included. And he's not someone that is, you know, starved for attention or, you know, egomaniacal. He's just wonderful to work with, and you know, I think anybody who works on that set feels like they have a connection with him because he's a great guy.
Right on. All right, let's go to Edmund Prenter at VooJews. All right, he wants to know, do you think Mike could have a future outside of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, as in Netflix series, movies, etc.?
Gosh, that'd be nice.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of brings us to Will Walker's question at ComicWow. When does filming start for the Deathlok pilot?
Wow.
That would be incredible.
Wouldn't it?
I do think of it. And you know what? If something like that happens, you got to remember who to talk to. ComicWow.
Definitely. Oh, yeah.
So,
oh, without a doubt.
You know, I've got to say, this is probably one of the most comfortable, best interviews I've ever had. Just talking to you. You're such a good person.
You too, man.
So
Thank
nice.
you. Thank you so much.
And, show everybody your new hat. Show everybody your new hat you got.
Look what I got. Okay, so people who follow me on Twitter know that I'm obsessed with the NBC show Hannibal. So I was just given this incredible hat by our friend John Q here, and it says, "This is my design. If you watch the show, you'll understand." That's a sweet hat.
There we go. And if you wouldn't mind, please wear it tonight or tomorrow, whatever you want.
One of these nights, it will definitely make its debut.
Outstanding.
Yes.
Hey, Jay,
Thank you,
August
man.
Richards,
That was awesome.
Thank you so much.
That was
really
fun.
enjoyed
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you guys. We really appreciate you hanging out with us. This is John Q and Deathlok, J. August Richards, coming to you from Comic-Con in San Diego 2014. We'll catch you later.
Peace.